Welcome again. My name is Eno Ekong, and I am a marriage and family counselor, and I'm trying to present my book to you, Marriage Best Practices. And let's look at chapter 4. Chapter 4 talks about building a unique marriage. Building a unique marriage. There are some golden secrets of marriage. I'll just maybe name out some for you. What do I mean? Everyone you marry has a weakness. You must understand that. We are not perfect, so everyone has a weakness, including you that is marrying. Everyone you marry has a dark history. There's one or two things that has happened in the past that is dark. Every marriage has its own challenges. So don't think your own marriage is different. Your marriage challenge is different from someone's marriage challenge, but there are challenges. Every marriage has different levels of success. They always tell you all fingers are not equal. So every marriage has its different level of success. You must be able to accept and be contented with the success you make per time. To marry is to declare war. Declare war. What do we mean? When you marry, you must declare war against enemies of marriage. Not everybody wants you to settle. Not everybody wants you to be happy. So you got to declare war. And of course, you do that in the place of prayer and in the place of making sure that you don't give room for the enemy to come into your home. There is no perfect marriage. No perfect marriage. Everyone ought to work on his or her marriage to ensure it works. To marry is to take risk. You cannot predict what will happen after marriage, as situations may change. So, leave room for adjustment. That's the risk. Leave room for adjustment. In marriage, you are vulnerable. You are open. It's your wife. Your wife is the one that can know you in total. So, make room for adjustment. Marriage is not a contract. It is permanent. Until death do us part. Every marriage has a price to pay. What price are you willing to pay that your marriage works? You got to pay a price. Sometimes it could be a price of compromise. The marriage partnership. As we discover what God's word say about our lives, we discover the role he gives husband and wives are distinctly different. So that's the partnership. My role is different. Your role is different as a wife. My role is different as a husband. We must be able to understand our role. The leadership role of the husband, the submitting principal role of the wife, the loving role of the husband, and all the other roles that are outly defined as we venture into the marriage. We must make our time count for our family in marriage. Make our time count. The unit of the family is under attack in a serious way in our society today. Divorce rate for first-time marriages is getting high out there because they are not prepared for it. And because they are not prepared for it, they just run into such risk. And because they are not prepared for it, they break down. They opt for divorce. They walk away. No, we shouldn't quit. We should work it out because it's our responsibility. Some places or sometimes children do not know the security of having a healthy and stable upbringing, but they live in a constant state of flux. When there is a healthy, stable home, the children are happy. The children are stable. But when it is not, the children themselves are in an insecure environment. One of the places to begin is the prioritization of our time. We must prioritize our time. Create time for the children. Each child should have a time. Create time for your wife or your husband. Create time for the family. It's important. Why do marriages fail? With all the problems and pains in some marriages, the truth is that no one wants to be alone. Genesis chapter 2 verse 18. No one wants to be alone. It's not good that the man be alone. So marriages fail when needs are not met. When needs are not met, marriages fail. So we must do what we need to do to ensure that needs are met. If we read from the story of Martha and Mary, in Luke chapter 10, verse 34 through to 42, you discover that there was disappointed expectation when Jesus came visiting. Mary and Martha were trying to give him attention. Mary had to take time to sit at the feet of Jesus to hear. Martha was busy at the kitchen. So there was disappointed expectation. Probably Martha had expected Jesus would tell Mary to join her in the kitchen. But she was disappointed, because there is that moment where we are expected, or we ought to be at the master's feet. Martha expected Mary to join her. So there could be that kind of disappointed expectations in our marriage. Alternative reality. There could be alternative reality. So as a result of disappointed expectation, there is the transfer. There is the transfer of aggression, anger, from point A to point B. And that happens in our home, where one person is offended and the offense is transferred to other members of the family. Now that takes us to alternative reality. This is a point where you are offended, you take offense, you're offended. And when this happens, the devil begins to suggest to you other alternatives. That's why it's called alternative reality. All the alternatives you can walk on, and then you see yourself beginning to accept those alternatives of the enemy, and the place of love gradually is eroded. Then it takes you to outward aggression, where now you act offended. You act offended, and the offense is clear that it has taken a hold of you. We must understand that life is too short to be wasted. There are two ways we can operate in a relationship, either through a magnifying glass or through a mirror. How do you see what happens? Where you see the fault and you focus on the fault in order to magnify it. Or you see through a mirror, where all you see is you. You take responsibility. Anytime you are tempted to magnify your partner's fault, look at yourself for who you are. That if not for the mercy of God, where would you have been? You take responsibility. Okay, I'm not perfect either, and so God is able to bring us to a better marital relationship. We have intimacy in marriage, intimacy in the spiritual, intimacy in our friendship, of course, intimacy in our relationship as couples, intimacy in our sexuality, and we'll be able to understand that yes, we're different, but that intimacy ought to be there, because as God loved the church. If we read scripture, the Bible keeps saying, do it as unto the Lord, as unto the Lord, as unto the Lord. It brings that bondness. If it's as unto the Lord, that is to say, whatever I'm doing now is not just because you are there. I want God to also, be in good relationship with me. So we must understand that marriage best practices will work for every one of us if we build a unique marriage. And it takes our responsibility, it takes our commitment, it takes our involvement, it takes our resolving of conflicts in our marriages to be able to build a unique marriage. There will be conflict, there will be challenges. We don't just want to manage them, we want to get to the point where we resolve them. Many times things are swept under the carpet. No, we can pick them and take them one by one and get them sorted. I believe as you pick this book and you read further, you get more elaboration in what we are talking about, and it will go a long way to give you a wonderful marital relationship. Thank you again for listening.